the inquiry and search that you've been doing, all along for years now, looking at yourself, how you feel and how you've been handling things in your marriage, um, your personal relationships, yourself, to being honest with yourself, being able to, you know, call on your own mistakes and you know, change course when necessary. I mean, all of the deep work. How do I say it? I mean, for me, doing human design work, doing the shamanic work, those things, um, gives us deep introspective in ourselves and to correct course as we move along. It's all been extremely helpful, and you know what I'm talking about, though.
So, so I know what inner work means to me, right? It's,
Hmm.
whatever. I could probably talk about it all day long and define it and talk about whether it be psychotherapy or group therapy. I mean, my father checked me into Alateen when I was 14 years old because it came to light that my mother was a dysfunctional alcoholic and I was raised in a screwed up family, right? So since the age of 14, for me, I've been doing that work, through the AA system and Alateen, ACOA, Al-Anon, all that stuff. And then Bradshaw, John Bradshaw has written books about this stuff and how it shows up, for me in my life as a kid, and um, the codependence and all that stuff that comes with it. So for me, that's what the inner work means, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Understanding ourselves, right, and realizing that from my perspective, I mean, my inner work has unveiled to me that I'm a soul that was put in this body to exemplify a purpose, right, and do something while I'm here, right. And I've learned that through the exploration of my essence, call that inner work. And I think, Richard, what's interesting actually is that inner work is different and unique for everybody.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And my inner work is my inner work.
Hmm.
Somebody else's inner work might be totally different. At the
Absolutely.
same time, it's important to it's almost like when I think about, spelunking in a cave, right? You're going in there and it's dark and you want to explore, and we all have to, it's our responsibility as sentient beings to explore those caves and understand who we are and why we are at our core, including the shadow, including the dysfunction and all the stuff that all the belief systems, all the the BS, right, that were inflicted by, and understand it, and then we get to choose to shift it or not, right? I mean, I think that's what inner work is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Um, and there are various varying levels of what that work is, and for different people. It's also going beyond the what we've been taught in our culture, through religions, through our school systems, going beyond those types of histories, and you have to find them through other means, that's not necessarily associated to the established systems. You know what I mean? You kind of have to go around them. um, I'm not sure how else to put it, but well, for example, like human design system, it's a schooling that's out there, it's available, but it's most people don't even know about it. You know, it's getting a bit more and more popular, but it's still in comparison to the size of the world, it's a bleep on the map. You know, but and what it offers such deep, rich understanding of our existence and how we are here to understand ourselves and how we're here to navigate our lives beyond anything that we've been taught. I mean, it's this teaching is it's you don't find it in in the average homes or in schools or any of that. So you kind of have to, it has to come to you in a way. It's sort of like now we're seeing more and more of these um, shamanic circles, and I mean it's been around forever, but it's becoming more and more popular. We're hearing about these different types of psychedelic experiences, and more and more states are beginning to loosen up on utilizing certain types of plant medicines, as mushrooms and ayahuasca and these different types of things, in order to that are helpful in going beyond conditioned thinking and what we've been taught of what life is, and how it's supposed to be. And it cracks open these old ways of thinking, and it really helps to heal deep seated conditionings, and that actually turns into physical ailments. It frees people up. It's just and it's out there, and it's becoming more and more popular. These are other types of processes as well that's really helpful along on our journeys.
So let me just process this. So we're talking about inner work, and I think there's levels of inner work. There's like the deep levels that you can induce through psychedelic plant medicine,
Mm-hmm.
on a more of a sacred level, right? There's also the inner work that you can do around, again, cracking a John Bradshaw book and realizing that my family of origin made me think this way, right? And there's so many different levels, and I think we get to choose what level of inner work we want to do. And at the same time, don't do the inner work, right? Do surrender to the inner essence, which frankly, I think is what the human design component is about. It's not about working. It's about realizing that, who you are, what you're doing here, when you arrived here, understanding the components of that, and then letting that essence become one's self. I mean, that's a level of work, I think, but it's also a level of just surrendering. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's a terminology, that we're using here, doing the inner work. There is, there is a doing part. It is a bit of work, because it's not like, you have to implement your strategy. You have to sort of consciously think about it, and allow yourself to not continue going about it the old way, and by implementing your strategy. I mean, there's work to that, so it's not complicated, but it's different than what everyone else is doing. So if you're going against the grain, and that it feels right for you, but yet everyone else going about it in a different way, and yet you feel that it's the right thing for you to go about this, following your strategy, that's a whole new way. It's like you're going uphill. So there's a little work to be done, in that transformation process. It takes time, and during that time taking, you're constantly recalibrating. It's you're going this direction. It's like your GPS, it goes off, but there's a way to come back on when you follow your strategy. You're constantly bringing yourself back on. There's always this this
Balance.
yeah. So and in that, in and of itself, it's what we call doing the work, because it's
So it's funny because it's not really work. I mean, it's good work. It's work. It's actually,
yeah.
even meditation is work in that context. And meditation is the
Yeah.
easiest thing to do, but I think a lot of people don't do it because it's so easy, I guess, and it's easy not to do it. But that's a form of work, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are many different forms of, yes, to your question, but there are many forms of meditation as well. And meditation is not necessarily one has to sit down, in this lotus position with their eyes closed and holding, their fingers together and doing these different mudras and so on. It's, one's meditation can be, picking up their instrument and really just spending hours on it. Just really, you can transform yourself by certain places you can go. You can go for long walks. You can sit by and by the ocean and just taking it in and just allowing yourself to just settle in. There are many different ways of meditation, so it's not a one size thing for everyone. You kind of have to find the one that really that you're most comfortable with, that feels right for you.
So maybe in the context of just kind of the topic here is inner work. Maybe it's not. Maybe the word work is not. Maybe it's inner awareness. Is that a
Yeah,
better word than work? Maybe. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's semantics, you know. So, um, yeah, you can call it that. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call it,
but you got to
really.
do it regardless. That's the key.
You have to, there's something for you to do. And if you're not actually implementing it, then nothing, you're not really going to get anywhere. You kind of, you can study and use this as intellectual knowing, and you can go around doing speech and talking about it. But if you're not implementing it yourself and really being it, living it, walking the talk, then it doesn't really mean anything. It's just all talk.
And just like we were talking, and now is the time, right? We're in a very unique time where the people that were put here for at a certain time are coming into this again, call it civilization, this civil organization, right, that we live in. It's kind of lost its civility to some extent, at least that's my judgment. But I feel like I was put here based on all the inner work that I've done and all the inner awareness that I've espoused in my life to be here now to make a difference now, right? And I think that's good for everybody if they so choose to be part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem, which I construe part of the problem to be lack of that awareness, that work, that inner self essence and understanding it. So that's the challenge, I guess, is just do the inner work, be the inner being that we need to be. And I honor you that you're a force for good on the planet right now, and I'm doing my best to do that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise. And the thing is, it's something that actually um, we project that. It's visible from our auric nature when we are actually doing the work, and how we show up. How we communicate, how we interact with others. It shows, through our presence. You know, if we're doing it or not. It's not something you can actually fake. You try to fake it by sound. Well, people do. You're talking the talk, and it sounds like like this person. Wow, this person's well educated. They